Eastern Bay of Plenty. It's one of New Zealand's most beautiful coasts, but also one of the poorest. Once you leave Opotiki and head up towards East Cape, the lack of economic development is very obvious. Yet the people of this region live amid a natural beauty that few others enjoy. And they also have a climate that's warmer than almost anywhere else in the country. Hoani Park started planting bananas behind his house 5 years ago. The warm climate and rich soil mean he's now got enough to feed the family all year round. Hoani lives on a small block of ancestral land that's mostly lain idle for years. What was once a big area of land has been carved into smaller and smaller blocks, partly as a result of being divided up for each new generation, and partly because the old Māori Affairs Department insisted the family sell land to pay off debts. Hoani's land seemed to be too small to make a living from, and he left the district to spend years working on the wharves in Wellington. But eventually he felt the pull of home.
Disillusioned with city life, thought home would be the best place to go to, but came away from the city without any fund, money or anything, and without any idea of what I was going to do here. But Dad was a horticulturist, and I thought I'd follow along the same lines because he always said this was the best place to grow things, with its climate, frost-free area.
But you had no capital to put into the land to get started?
No capital. So it's been just plugging away as the best I could.
Hoani realised he needed to plant a high-value crop to be profitable in such a remote spot. Most of the land was covered in big manuka trees, which he cleared by machete. It took years of back-breaking work. He'd already helped a neighbour plant an orchard of macadamia nut trees, and he thought they might suit his land too.
We saw that they were doing very, very well. We had no idea of the how well they were doing because we didn't know anywhere else in the country how they were doing, you know, until we decided to have I decided to set a seminar up and get a consultant in, an expert. He saw then how well the orchard was doing and told us that it was a really good crop to get into. Those of us at the seminar decided to do something about it and pulled our money. We put $100 in each, bought some seed and got some nurseries started.
The nurseries now run in partnership with the local iwi authority. They've secured some start-up money from the Department of Internal Affairs, but they still have to keep costs to an absolute minimum. They've discovered that the bottoms of dead punga trees are a perfect addition to potting mix, and it's using a local resource that's much cheaper than buying in peat. The Trust also runs a government-supported Maxcess training scheme to give local people the opportunity to learn horticultural skills. If macadamia trees do take off as a successful crop here, there'll be a group of people with plenty of knowledge about them. The nursery is now preparing thousands of small macadamia trees to the point at which they'll be ready to plant out. They'll then sell them to people with land in the area who are interested in establishing macadamias as a crop. Because macadamias are so new here, few people know much about how to grow them. Horticultural consultant Ian Gordon is one of the experts. He's been contracted by the Internal Affairs Department to pass his knowledge on to people in the Eastern Bay of Plenty and help get a macadamia industry going. He believes macadamias have a huge potential here because of the climate in the region.
What is actually in the punga?
Well, we've got a third soil, a third payne and a third sand, so it's all local mix. Yeah. The evidence we've got is that this is the most promising area in New Zealand at the moment for this macadamia production. The soil conditions are ideal, warm spring conditions, not too much rainfall prior to blossom, all conditions that make it a desirable area.
Now, it's an area with high unemployment. Are macadamias going to help here?
Macadamias are very intensive, especially when we're going all the way like we plan to with processing, and on that basis it'll be a good employer of people, and especially with the growth potential that we're looking at from now, going from just a few hundred trees in the ground up to quite a few thousand trees. It'll be a big increase in employment.
But growing macadamias isn't just a pipe dream for this district. Beverly Davey is already proving that it can be done. This was the orchard that Hawani Park originally helped to plant. Now the trees are aged up to 10 years old, and they're starting to give Beverly sizable returns. As she tends her trees and mows the grass in this idyllic spot, she also has the satisfaction of knowing that she's got the most productive macadamia orchard in New Zealand.
Sunday, in a very special Television One documentary, a group of young Māori embark on a waka journey through the Hokianga.
We need to be of one mind, and we need to be strong.
It's a journey to self-discovery.
For me to stand up for me it's the first time in my life I've ever done it.
To find their heritage, their tūranga waiwai, and themselves.
I love you.
A one documentary special, Te Wenga, Waka or Hokianga, Sunday 9:30, following Titmus Regained on One.
Electric windows, remote-controlled central locking, air conditioning, electronic rear vision mirrors. All of these sophisticated features are missing from new Lada Samara. With Lada, you pay for nothing but car. Priced up to an exorbitant $17,495.
Only one company has technology so advanced, they were chosen as the official timer to the games of the 25th Olympiad. Seiko. Seiko, official timer to the Olympics.
Peace of mind is knowing if your machinery goes downhill, your business won't. You can trust NZI Insurance to treat you fairly and see you right.
I'm in here. Still here.
Thank goodness for sorbent. It's the best way to start the day. Thicker, softer sorbent.
The $1 million music sale is back, and it's got bigger. More cassettes at only $9.99 for two. More CDs at only $9.99, and more music videos. Look at these prices, and look for these bins.
Right now, Bow Repairs are flat rate prices on quality New Zealand-made steel radials. All these, just 99 each on the car. All these, 109.
Bow Repairs Flat Rate Fortnight. It's completely flattened prices.
Or you could get really serious with your brush weeds and use greys on.
This has been working hard.
Looks a bit hungry.
Yeah. It's
Robin Moyle bought this orchard 4 years ago with her partner Beverly Davey. Both were New Zealanders who'd been working in the tough world of newspaper journalism in Melbourne and wanted to retire from the rat race. The property was choked up with long grass and hundreds of tamarillo plants, but the macadamia trees were beginning to produce. They had a huge clean-up job to do, but now they're reaping the benefits.
It's got, what, well over 20 kilos on there, well over.
Not too many flowers on it.
No, it's not going to do the same thing next year.
Things are going well now, but a delayed arrival meant they had a disastrous first season.
Our first crop was 95% bug damaged. We hadn't been able to get a spray on it because of all of the delays. And when we picked it and started cracking it, it was just wiped out. We picked 1.5 tons of nuts in that first season, and we took all of them to the dump.
That must have been... You must have felt like going back to Melbourne and giving up.
Yes, well, we very nearly got on the next plane and went back to Melbourne, but we didn't, and we're glad we didn't, and here we are, and here we are to stay.
Now, macadamias, when you came here, were fairly unfashionable. Why didn't you follow the example of a lot of other people, rip them out and plant something else?
Well, in the 18 months that we had remained in Australia in between buying the property and actually moving here permanently, we'd done a lot of research, picked a lot of Australian brains about macadamias, and they sounded like a viable crop. Tree crops appeal to us because we're getting a bit old for bending over and looking after vegetables and that kind of thing. And they sounded an exciting proposition.
Although they have the only established orchard in the Eastern Bay of Plenty, others are following their example. The Havel family, who live near Cape Whanarua, visit Beverly and Robin frequently to exchange ideas about macadamia growing methods and to see how the orchard is progressing.
Hi.
Hello, Dave. How are you?
How are you? Hi, Charlie. How are you, Anne? Good.
Oh, these look wonderful.
The Havels have established a nursery and are supplying Beverly and Robin with some new plants.
That's flushing away beautifully, isn't it? That's really good growth.
I know what you do here. Might have to take the bottom.
That's two buds?
2 buds.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to shoot out that this side
nice.
as well.
And that was...
Charles Havel and his wife Anne are planning to put in a substantial macadamia orchard of their own. When Charles was made redundant from his forestry job, he decided to do something productive with his own land.
Yes, yes.
He sees huge potential for small landholders in the district who move into growing macadamias.
You take this orchard here is a good example. 400 trees, a good income, you could live off it. The land back where I am is idle. It's been idle for years. I mean, what are you growing down there is lupin and manuka, tons of manuka. And if this goes ahead, you know, even people with a couple of acres can make a living of it. This is why I'm interested.
It's not just the owners of the land who stand to benefit from macadamias. There's going to be plenty of work for pickers too. Macadamias are ready to pick between about May and August. Unlike many other crops, they stay ripe on the trees for a month or two, so there's no pressure to pick them in a hurry. The trees start to crop at about 4 years old, but they don't reach their full potential for at least another 8 years. Last season, Beverly and Robin could pick their crop on their own. Now they need help to do the job. Once the crop's harvested, the outer green husk has to be removed fairly quickly, or else its dampness will permeate the nut, shortening its storage life. Most of their helpers are hoping to start their own orchards and are volunteering their labour to gain experience or in exchange for plant cuttings. Once the husks are removed, the nuts are still enclosed in a hard inner shell. They're then kept in a special heated drying room for a few weeks. when they're dried, they can be stored for up to a year without deteriorating. Beverley's records show that in their 3 seasons, production has doubled each year as the trees mature. This season is shaping up to give them a yield of 10 kilos of nuts per tree, and Beverley expects that will rise to more like 25 kilos per tree in a few years' time. But no matter how busy she gets out in the orchard, she'll still keep her records up to date.
I like playing with computers a little bit, so it's just become a habit of coming in each night after we've finished picking and tapping them into the computer, and they've been very valuable because we're now getting a lot of calls from all around the country from experts who haven't kept records, and it's apparent that there's not many records being kept about macadamia growing in New Zealand. Plus, it's a fairly young industry, so this is just adding to the overall picture, and so we get a lot of interest.
Macadamias are a relatively low-maintenance crop, but they still create plenty of work. Eastern Bay of Plenty's warm climate is perfect for a heavy crop, but those same weather conditions are also ideal for the macadamia farmer's worst enemy, the green shield bug or stink bug, that bores through the shell and damages the nut. After losing their first crop, they now spray frequently. As any horticulturalist will tell you, it's one thing to grow a crop well, but quite another to get a good price for it. Beverley and Robin have been working on that one too.
It was New Zealand's worst nightmare.
In March 1942, a Japanese plane overflies Wellington
To fall into enemy hands.
They sent 2 torpedoes to the inter-island ferry.
It was a time which radically changed our identity and allegiances.
We finally began to recognise that British power overseas had radically diminished.
In fear of invasion, a one documentary special tonight at 7:40 following Country Calendar on New Zealand's One.
Did you know there's gold in Kiwi bacon? Up to $30,000 for you to be making. 25 in instant prizes, a pack full of surprises. You can win $5 grand. Best value in the land. Enjoy your top grade bacon with a lot less fat. Look for Kiwi leaf with gold hidden in its pack.
Peace of mind is knowing, should fire ruin your property, we'll stop it ruining your life. You can trust NZI Insurance to treat you fairly and see you right.
I've been thinking, television must be more interesting than people. Otherwise, we'll all have a person standing in the corner of the living room. Take the Robinsons. They can watch telly for hours. So it's just as well New Zealand On Air funds so many programs. I mean, what would they do without it? Perhaps they could talk to Dad. But it's hardly what you call riveting entertainment, is he?
This is a good buy. 2 500-gram packs of real cost-effective gorse killer. Measuring jug and penetrant in one handy pack. Escort's Gorse Pack. Goodbye, gorse.
What name do you give the lawn tractor who consistently outsells all other models in New Zealand? Outsells him with his maximum ease of control, maximum tight turning, and maximum even spread of cuttings. He outsells him with his exclusive Max Pack rear collection system and his maximum ease of dumping. You'd probably call him Max, just like we do. Meet Max White and the rest of the White family at Motown, New Zealand's leading farm and garden machinery people nationwide.
Most of us shop once a week, but some foods only stay fresh for a couple of days. The Simpson Fan-Forced Frost-Free, however, keeps food fresher much longer. Using the latest technology, cold air is not only fan-forced in the freezer, but fan-forced throughout the fridge, where it's needed most. So next Friday's salad will be as crisp as it was last Saturday. For the ultimate in top and bottom mount technology, Simpson, making life easier.
A big deal on baler twine. Buy any Kinea synthetic baler twine and you're in the draw for $4,000 of Black & Decker heavy-duty power tools. Buy 5 bales and we'll toss in this cap. Free. Kinea's baler twine. Hard to cap.
At the Wholesale Tree Company, you'll discover a whole world of natural beauty set in 9 park-like hectares. Come and enjoy yourself in our display gardens. The Wholesale Tree Company, Airfield Road, Takanini, where bigger is definitely better.
It looks a bit like some crazy mixed-up pinball machine, but it's what Beverly Davey and Robin Moyle used to grade their macadamia nuts into different sizes. Once the nuts are dried, they're passed through this wonderful piece of high technology. Then each size of nut is ready for the shells to be cracked. Macadamia nuts have very tough shells, and the cracking machine has to be set for only one size at a time, or else it would pulverize the insides of the nuts as well. The broken shells are separated out, and the nuts are then baked with a little salt and oil. After all the various stages of processing, they're now ready to eat.
Too much now.
From this stage on, the nuts can easily spoil. Too much exposure to air or damp will make them go rancid. Later, they'll put them in small consumer packs to sell. But to keep them in top condition in the meantime, they vacuum pack them in bulk bags.
It's easy to read, but it's got more style to it.
Yes, I like that one. I think that's nice. Well,
Beverly and Robin are getting a confectionery company to coat some of their nuts in chocolate. And they're planning a burgundy-coloured foil package for the rest of their product.
Heat sealed and then a nice gold sticker.
Is that going to sit flat?
Yes, I think it just needs, you know, when you put the nuts in, just to shake it down a bit. Are you happy with that colour then?
Yeah. Yes, it's a nice food colour.
Like a glass of red wine. It'll look nice with gold on it. You know, just this and gold on there. I think it'll have quite a classy look. And on that size box, you know, it'd be quite elegant.
They believe it's important to control the marketing of their product.
A few years ago, if you were to suggest to someone who was into horticulture that a good living could be made from 10 acres or less, you'd get laughed out of the room. That's not the case today, and it's certainly not the case with a product like this. And we're very interested in trying to prove that a good income can be gained from a property this small.
If we handle the product and value add and do the entire marketing exercise, handle it ourselves.
We're not ever going to have more than about 500 trees here at maximum, and there's no way that selling the nut in shell from that smaller number of trees is going to keep us going. So it's just got to add value as far as we can, and all that also helps you keep control of the product, its quality.
I think it would be disastrous if growers put out an inferior product and somebody tries a macadamia and gets a bad experience with it and that thinks, well, you know, these are horrible, and they'll never buy one again. So I think it's very important that the industry maintains a standard or aims for a very high standard, and we feel that we can best control that ourselves.
The hills behind the Eastern Bay of Plenty create an ideal climate for growing macadamias because they protect it from cold southerlies. Beverly takes a regular trip along the coast selling to local pubs and shops. The more she sees of the country, the more convinced she is that macadamias can improve people's incomes here.
Macadamias seem to be an ideal crop for the lifestyle. It's a low-maintenance crop, a relatively low-maintenance crop, and a long-term crop. In Australia, they're cropping trees over there that are 100 years old. So people, if they plant them here, will be putting in an orchard that their family, that their grandchildren and great-grandchildren in the future would be reaping the benefits of.
So far, Beverly has had no problems selling her product, mainly to delicatessens in larger centres. But she likes to keep local outlets supplied too.
Afternoon, Marilyn.
Hi, how are you, love?
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah, there's another lot for you.
Oh, wonderful.
The next ones will be in nice new packaging. Yeah, nice burgundy box.
Lovely.
Of chocolates, which I haven't got this time, so...
Well, I did eat them all last time, didn't I?
Like these are rootstock, this and this, different sizes. Now, what you do is you take the top off.
The Trust Nursery still has a lot of work ahead.
Some shoots, what I usually do is take them out. You put a slit in there. This is a cleft graft.
Charles Havel has left his own nursery for the day to demonstrate his grafting techniques to the Trust's trainees.
Variety of your choice. You get it in and you force it down. Not too hard, gently. There, the gap's closed. That's perfect. That's a perfect example. It's tight in there.
Nursery tutor Bruce McGregor and horticulture expert Ian Gordon say that one of the things that keeps everyone at the nursery motivated is the knowledge that nearby, Beverly and Robin are doing so well. It's an example the others are keen to follow on a bigger scale.
High quality nuts are coming out of this region at the moment, so it's tops at the moment.
I guess Beverly and Robin are setting an example for people in that area.
They're doing a fantastic role model for what we're trying to do down here, because they've achieved beyond what we expected. You know, greater production than what we expected. They've got production equaling Hawaii's best. They've got very high quality nuts coming off that block. So, it's top grade where we're going at the moment.
When Beverly and Robin gave up their busy jobs in Melbourne, they found it hard to leave the excitement of the city.
Look at the shag. Is it the shag? Out on the rocks? See?
What was intended to be semi-retirement is turning out to be more work than they expected. But they've now adjusted to a gentler pace of life.
Far, far healthier, far more rested in your mind. You worry like hell about the property and whether we're ever going to make a living off it, but it's nothing compared to the stress of journalism in a big city. Nothing at all.
I miss Melbourne a lot. I miss journalism a lot. For a long time, wasn't sure whether I should be here or should be there, but now I don't regret it at all. I've sort of settled down to the idea, well, not just the idea of it, I mean, I love it, and I wouldn't swap it for anything now. It's just idyllic. It's sort of a dream come true.
Country Calendar was brought to you by Television One and the tough, reliable Lada four-wheel drive Neva, Cossack and Tiger.
This program was made with the help of your broadcasting fee, so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
There's great comedy when a wedding becomes a bit of a do later. That's after the effects on New Zealanders of being in fear of invasion. Next.
Frightening.